Welcome to the Texas News Podcast, where we dive into all things Texas politics and the future of independence in the state of Texas. On today's show, Russia. Holy cow, can these guys get some new material? Apparently not. But according to media outlets and bot accounts, probably from China and the Ukraine, just because you support TEXIT means that you are a Russian operative. We are going to absolutely destroy that narrative today and talk about how a former U.S. Congressman is essentially accusing a real-life person of being a Russian bot. So don't go anywhere. All right, thanks for joining us for this episode of the Texas News Podcast. When we talk about Texas news happening, we do these every week. And, I was looking at the list of things that have happened since we were together last, whether it's this crazy poll, TEXIT poll in Newsweek, or, this letter from a TNM supporter to RPT chairman Matt Rinaldi, or the Nikki Haley story that blew up, where Nikki Haley says that she believes a state has a right to withdraw from the union if the people decide. And then she says, well, maybe, and then maybe not, and then not, and then perhaps, and then who knows, because apparently Nikki Haley can't figure out. I mean, her algorithm is so screwed up. I mean, we used to have a joke like that. It says, how do you confuse an Aggie? No offense to the Aggies, but you guys know about the Aggie jokes. How do you confuse an Aggie? You put them in a round room and tell them to pee in the corner. Well, that's kind of where Nikki Haley is on the TEXIT issue, right? And then you had this Newsweek article that came out talking about how right on the heels of Nikki Haley, where Donald Trump had endorsed one of the Texas First Pledge signers. So you've got this all of this news that's happening over the last 7 days, where it's just been incredible. Right? I mean, did any of you, and I know no one starts a project or does anything like that without thinking that it's going to succeed, but did any of you anticipate that this is where we would be right now? I mean, did you expect that every day when you woke up, there would be some new bombshell piece of news about Texas independence? Well, I'm here for it, right? But in addition to all of that, what you have is the absolute 100% ramp up and unhinged rantings and ravings of the opposition, right? You had Newsweek that is literally, they've got their food critic running stories about how TEXIT means grandma's going to die in a ditch and your taxes are going to go sky high. We even provided them an economist to refute that, but whatever. Sometimes food critics don't make the best reporters. It's true. I mean, if you want an example, go look up Bud Kennedy at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, right? They publish things that are already 100% refuted at texitnow.org, right? I mean, it's all refuted. And so, rather than actually doing what they should do, which is, hey, maybe there is a dissenting opinion on this, or maybe my facts are not entirely correct. And reaching out and finding other experts and trying to explore the issue. It's just the regurgitation of the same old crap. And this is what we experience. So just for those of you that are brand new to TEXIT, maybe you haven't read the TEXIT book that I wrote, but I wrote an entire chapter in there about Project Fear. And this is what the opposition does. They've got a handful of fear-based narratives that they run, and they just keep running them over and over and over. And hopefully they find, hopefully in their minds, you will be worn down by their arguments to the point that you just accept them as truth, even though 9 times out of 10, they're based on nothing at all, or based on lies, or based on untruths, whatever that is. And so, when you hear them talk about the Social Security issue, they don't, they want to tell you, oh, well, they, Social Security recipients, they'll lose all their money. But what they don't tell you is that current federal policy says that no matter where you live, as long as you receive federal pension benefits, if you're eligible, you still get them. right? I mean, that's actual federal policy right now. No matter where you live around the world, as long as you don't move into a country that's under banking sanctions, right? Or, when they talk about these, this thing like Texans taxes will go up sky high to pay for the cost of being a self-governing independent nation. But what they don't tell you is that Texans are overpaying $103 to $160 billion annually into the federal system. And that money, that giant sucking sound that pulls that money to Washington, D.C., suddenly stays here in Texas. And they don't tell you that that Texas will likely lead to a far lower tax burden than what you have now, dealing with Uncle Sugar in Washington, D.C., stealing your money and giving it overseas, right? When we actually need border protection here, and our border protection is being held hostage so that they could give aid to other countries, right? That's just not the way that it works. But the one pervasive thing that and it's really just another play out of their playbook, is this concept, this fantasy, this fiction that they have rolled out, that TEXIT is driven by the Russian government. That somehow you guys out there, the people that were polled with the Survey USA poll, the 54% plus, now 76% of Republicans, the people that put the two planks on the Republican Party platform, the people that you see out there working in Texas, somehow, according to the opposition, you are being run and driven by the Russian government. You, my friends, according to them, are a Russian op. And in fact, many of us, according to some of these whack jobs on social media, are actually not even people. We're bots, right? We're not even real. And that includes me. I literally got accused of being a bot on X just like 2 days ago. So, the fact of the matter is that today I'm going to spend some time and we're going to unpack this a bit, and we're going to talk about some of the most egregious things that are coming about in relation to this, right? So I think we have to, before we talk about this, I just want to set the stage, kind of what we're dealing with right now, so you understand where this garbage is coming from. Now, I will tell you, if you want deep dives on it, you could go to the TNM News website, right? Go to news.tnm.me. We have articles over there where we've answered this accusation over and over and over and over and over. This stupidity that somehow insinuates that Vladimir Putin is flying over my house in a Russian helicopter, spilling rubles out into my backyard. Bull crap. It's just plain garbage. It is a lie. And what it all stems from is the fact that they used the TNM as a test case for what they did to Trump in 2016 with the Russia collusion hoax. You see, we were the test case. We were the ones that they decided, because we attended a conference. We were invited to speak at a self-determination conference, like we've been invited to speak at self-determination conferences around the world since 2010, right? That this was their opportunity, right? We got invited to speak. We went and spoke. We talked about self-determination. We talked about Article 1, Section 2. We did it alongside of other self-determination movements. And that is where this stems from. Literally, they don't talk about when we participated at a conference in Scotland or Catalonia or Sao Paulo, Brazil, or Italy or France or any of these other places. This is the one. This is the one, right? Nobody ever insinuated that because we participated in a conference in Scotland that we were going to be in the pocket of the Scottish National Party, or that that when we went to Catalonia to participate in a conference and meetings that we were going to be in the pockets of Carlos Puigdemont. No one suggested that when Nate Smith went to the UK to go visit with our counterparts in UKIP and then the Brexit Party, that somehow he was going to suddenly be on the puppet strings of Queen Elizabeth, and that they were flying over dropping British pounds on the high. Nobody did that. But this is the one. because it was their opportunity to attempt to see what would happen if they pushed the Russia collusion hoax on Donald Trump. We were the canary in the coal mine. We were the ones that were the test case. And they couldn't make it stick because it's simply not true. It is a fiction. 100% a fiction. And look, we could talk about the specific details of all of that and go through it, but we've talked about it time and time again. This is not new to us, but it seems that every time that we begin to get some media attention or seem to make major headlines or make major traction, they drag out the same old argument. They go and they back up the dump truck and they think that if they can bury what we're doing in enough of their bull crap, that it will go away. But nobody's buying your lies anymore. No one is buying it. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because let me tell you how. And we're going to talk about this in two ways, right? Because two things happened this week that really and truly exposes what they are doing. That, obviously TEXIT is not the op here. The op here is them. And these two things make it clear. So first, right out of the gate, is this crazy article in Newsweek. And the article dropped and it really didn't get known very much. I mean, it didn't get much traction. No one really said anything in particular about it, but it was brought to our attention because yet again, here we go with this Russia hoax bullcrap, right? And so literally, here's the headline. It's published January 26th, and it's titled, Russians Gleeful Over U.S. Border Crisis, Texas People's Republic. The interesting thing about this article is it goes on specifically to cite, and I'm going to read you something, just what, first line. Russians are sharing their glee on social media over the U.S. border crisis, expressing their support for the Lone Star State to declare independence from the United States. Well, I don't think they're the only people. I think Texans are pretty happy as well, right? But they go through here and begin to cite posts on Telegram and Twitter from Russians expressing support, and they put these quotes. Texas, we are with you. Freedom for Texas, wrote one ex-user. It says, Texas, of course, is a powerhouse. State leader of the resistance, another posted. A third user wrote, stay strong, Texas. Ours will come soon. Here's what's crazy about this, and I think it's important for you to look at the fact that notice they don't cite any of it. No one. It just wrote one ex-user. Well, who? Who wrote that? How do we know that they're Russian? We have no clue. I don't think they do either. And notice how in many articles where they have tweets, they will link those tweets or at least put screenshots of them, or they will cite users by name, but not this one. Not this one. And so, I'm going to tell you, so when they start, Newsweek, I think, kicked off with this particular article, right? This one really kind of ramped them up. Oh, look, Texas is getting support. I mean, people are super excited about Texas becoming an independent nation again. Roll out the Russians. Bring them on. Boy, we got to get some Russians saying some things about it. So they really kind of kicked this crap off, and now it's sort of the same old pile on, right? The same old, normal BS that they run. And so what happened was they were reached out to, right? An email was sent to the reporter, and I'm going to read it to you. It's from our comms person. And this is what it says. Hey, we're grateful for your coverage of TEXIT, though we're concerned about your recent piece. You cite numerous X/Telegram posts supporting Texas independence that are linked to Russia, yet you decline to link any of the posts in the article. A handful of accounts expressing their opinions does not constitute a story with a headline like this. It's a bit egregious and deeply misleading. You decline to attribute any of these quotes to actual accounts. If these are just random Twitter accounts, surely the public should know they are not Russian officials and just random people on the internet. Would you consider updating your piece to link to the tweets or change your headline? More Texans have shown their support for TEXIT than Russians on X. Will that constitute an article as well? Thank you for your consideration. I mean, there it is. And guess what the response was? Silence. No change to the article, not even the courtesy of a response to justify their position. Now, what does that smell like to you folks? What does that smell like? That in and of itself smells like an op. I mean, I think it would be interesting if people like this could accuse us of being Russian operatives. Maybe we need to look into that reporter's bank account, right? And see where they're getting paid. But that just really kicked it off. Okay. We reached out and they declined to publish the links and attribute them. And understand what that narrative is. If you go to social media right now, you will find more posts pro-Texit from other states in the union than you will from foreign countries. That's a fact. That's just a fact. You're going to see support coming in. I mean, the one headline that made the news, a good story that made Newsweek and everywhere else, was a phenomenal letter sent by State Representative Jason Gerhardt in New Hampshire, expressing their solidarity for our move for independence. And so you've got people all over, I mean, massive accounts on social media, accounts with massive numbers of followers that are out there expressing their support for what we're doing here in Texas. And they are accounts in Texas or in other states of the union. Where is the article on that one? But instead, what you've got is you've got an article where you have an account maybe that has, even if it even exists, we don't even know that these things exist. But if they did, look at what that is. Is it just some rando? That's not news. That's not news. That's propaganda, especially when you're trying to establish a narrative that somehow TEXIT is being driven by Russians. But here's the thing. And this gets me to the second part of this, which is it's not enough now to insinuate or directly accuse us of being a Russian government operation, right? And that support for TEXIT only flows out because of what the Russians do, right? Instead, now what you have is everyone is a Russian bot, right? Everybody who's out there tweeting or posting on social media in favor of Texas independence is a Russian bot. And I mean, it's the dumbest thing ever, especially when someone asked literally if I'm real or I'm a bot, right? They are coming out and they are flooding social media with the accusation that anyone who is posting pro-Texit information is a Russian bot from a Russian bot farm. Now, you could chalk some of that up to normal stupidity on social media because let's be honest, the opposition are pretty dumb, right? They're pretty uninformed. They love to talk about how we're backwards and we don't know what we're doing, but really they expose their ignorance every time they rattle their thumbs across their recycled BlackBerry and decide to go post something on social media, right? Whatever kind of Obama phone they got their hands on, and who knows? Looking at some of the anti-Texit tweets, how they followed a bunch of accounts but have no followers whatsoever. I think a case could be made that they are in fact bots. And I would encourage Elon Musk to do a wonderful deep dive. We were promised when he bought X that this bot problem would be fixed. Mr. Musk, I would encourage you to go scour right now all of these anti-Texit accounts that are posting all of this crap, accusing legitimate, real people of being bots. Go check them out. Let's see if we're getting some inauthentic activity from them. Because I suspect if you were to pull that thread, you're going to find that they are just projecting on our people what they, in fact, are. Okay? But all of this came to a head, really, and has just become outrageous when former federal congressman, Adam Kinzinger, accused one of our supporters of being a Russian bot or a Russian account. Okay. Now, what spurred this on was a social media tweet. It was made or a tweet, or what do you call it on X now? I don't know. I don't know these things. But what spurred it on was this supporter named Jason tweeted basically some facts about what makes Texas wonderfully positioned to be a self-governing independent nation. And the tweet talks about the size of our economy and things like that. But one of the phrases in there that he used was that it had warm water ports, right? And that's no secret. We have warm water ports. That's kind of a big deal when you're beginning to evaluate the viability of a self-governing independent nation, is access to warm water ports, and we have them. Not uncommon in the discussion of self-determination in the last 70 to 80 years, but somehow that flew up the backside of some of these anti-Texit tweeters, and they latched onto that. And in latching onto that, you had this former congressman, like I said, Adam Kinzinger, latch onto it, tweet it out there, and essentially accuse this person. I'm not going to use his full name on here because he's already had to do it, but he literally uses his own name on his account, accuse him of being a Russian bot or a Russian operative because of the use of the term warm water ports. It's like, well, the only people who say that are Russians. Well, that's BS. That's not true at all. But the fact that this former congressman tweets it out and accuses. Now, let me tell you something about Jason. I met Jason at the TEXIT conference. Jason's about as Texan as it gets. He is a flesh and blood human being. And he's got his opinions on social media, and that's fine. But he is not a Russian, and he is not a bot. He is a Texan that has an opinion and that believes that Texas can be a self-governing independent nation. But yet you've got this disgraced piece of garbage, former Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who wants to get on here and chime in on this chorus that anyone who believes in Texas is either a Russian or a bot. Anyone who can make an argument, and he latches on to the most ridiculous thing to nail his assertion to, and it is so ridiculous. But this is really what bothers me about all of this, is the fact that as a component of Project Fear, that this is the one that seems to just, these people just lose their minds over it. And it becomes amplified in a way that seems very, very, very similar to what we saw in relation to some of these other bot accounts. And I got to tell you, back during the 2016 election, it looks in itself inauthentic. It looks like it's being driven from somewhere else. And I have to ask myself, where could it be coming from? Well, sure, it could be coming from Ukraine. I mean, we know something you guys don't, but we had massive attacks on our websites all during the petition campaign, coming from, obviously proxied out, but coming from a lot of different countries, to the point that we had to block traffic from entire countries. I mean, I think we wound up blocking about half the globe. But I think who in the world benefits from this type of thing? And I have to tell you, I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I'm not going to fill in those gaps, but ask yourself this question. Who benefits from this type of accusation? Who benefits from beating the drum that TEXIT is a foreign op? Who benefits? I think if you begin to ask yourself that question, you will probably draw some of the same conclusions that I have drawn, that I will not put on here, because I'm not an idiot. I'm not a person who is going to get on here and make a bunch of baseless accusations like these people do. We're better than that. But I think if you begin to ask yourself those questions, you will develop the same suspicions and come up with the same list of suspects that I have, and I will keep those to myself. But I will say this. Adam Kinzinger owes Jason an apology. He owes him a very public apology. and he should deliver it. Because if we're going to have civil discourse, which, by the way, Texas supporters, that's all we've ever wanted, is we've wanted a civil discourse on our continued relationship with the federal system that culminates in a vote. And that's the thing about Texas supporters. Really, what Texas supporters have always wanted is the ability to have these conversations, to debate these topics, to have this discourse, and then have it end in a vote, right? And so these are what I thought were two things, regardless of where we all are on whatever particular political spectrum or what our view is on Texas or anything else. I thought that people in Texas and the rest of the states should at least agree on two things. Number one, that we should be able to have discourse and rationally and legitimately debate hard topics, difficult subjects, to air them out, to hear all the sides, to present facts and reason and logic. And then the second thing is, I thought that these guys like Kinzinger were all about the democracy thing, right? Why not have the vote? Why not let it culminate in a vote? But you see, it's issues like TEXIT that show you where people really are. What they really believe in. If they believed in these sorts of things about discourse and democracy and self-determination and self-government and all these things that they pay lip service to when it's convenient for them, then you would see Adam Kinzinger issue a public apology to Jason for calling him a Russian and a bot. But you're not going to. Right? I'm calling for it, but understand you're not going to, because this is an age of information warfare. Just like I said at the very beginning, whether it's the Social Security issue or the military issue, where they say the federal government will come in and raise Texas to the ground if we decide we want to be independent, if we vote wrong. Right? Or, this Russia collusion bullcrap that comes up over and over and over. They just understand all they have to do is repeat the lie enough, and it will be accepted as the truth. And when you have people out there that are low information voters and civically disengaged, then they don't know. Let's be honest. A lot of people have been hampered. They have been effectively neutered on the critical thinking aspect. And so these emotional things that they say, they just become accepted as truth. And, and it's amazing to me when I look on social media, people say, how come how do you respond to all of this Russia collusion stuff? It's like, I've done it every time we've been asked, every single time by the media. We have addressed it head on. We have pointed back to what we have previously said. And then we've moved on, because here's the thing. We have our independence to win, and we do not win our independence by playing the fool's game. And the fool's game here is the game that they are portraying. And just like we have to oftentimes turn the tables on our opposition on so many of these questions about TEXIT, this is one too. When people say TEXIT is unconstitutional, what do we say? Show me in the Constitution. When they say it's illegal, we say, show me the law. When they talk about the military is going to invade Texas, say, that's fun. That's interesting. Show me current federal government policy that says that that's what they'll do if we vote wrong, right? So I think we're in a position now where you see some in the media. Now, some are resistant to this sort of thing, but let's be honest, it's really the progressives and the neo-Marxists in the media that really want to keep this dream alive, because if Texas leaves, there goes their piggy bank, right? They are perfectly comfortable stealing from your pocket and my pocket to fund their centralization of power in Washington, D.C., and their redistribution of our wealth into states that are effectively just teetering on the brink of being failed states, okay? But that's where it's coming from. And knowing that helps us, I think, move forward with this and realize that ultimately we're not here to please people like Kinzinger. We're not here to, placate some of these reporters. Our real goal and objective here is to address the people of Texas. This is not a mother may I. I don't care what people outside of Texas think about this. I mean, I appreciate well wishes like that letter that we got from Representative Jason Gerhardt. I appreciate the 25 governors that are standing alongside of Greg Abbott on this border issue, right? We appreciate that sort of thing. But if outside forces are out there trying to do whatever because they believe it's going to do, that's got nothing to do with us. Our focus has been, is, and always will be the issue of self-government for the people of Texas. And I don't care who it upsets. I don't care if it upsets Adam Kinzinger. I don't care if it upsets, my next door neighbor. I don't care if it upsets people in other states. I don't care if it upsets President Peepaw. I don't care if it upsets the European Union or the Kremlin or whoever else. It's none of their business. Texans deserve to be governed by Texas, period. And the federal government mismanagement has made that possible. So I say all this as I wrap up today. I would have loved to have really tucked into some of these other issues. But here we are yet again, with this Russia collusion hoax that was debunked with Trump. It's been debunked by us time and time again, but yet they continue to go to that well. So be aware, friends. Be aware that, that's just Project Fear. That's just what they do. But understand the upside is that's all they got. That's all they've got. They've got lies, half-truths, mistruths, whatever. That's all they've got. And they will continue to repeat it over and over. But at the end of the day, their arguments will fall flat. So, my friends, that is a wrap for the Texas News Podcast. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Next time is going to be great because I won't be talking about this anymore. Again, this has been going on for years, and I do get a little bit sick of it. But again, just you have to address it. You can't not address it. But we're gonna get back to our regularly scheduled news because I suspect there's going to be some pretty big news coming up over the next weeks. This shows no signs of dying down. So while you're at it, be sure to, wherever this podcast is found, be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments and reviews. Get the word out there. Additionally, I'm going to encourage you, if you are not a member of the Texas Nationalist Movement, head over right now. Head over to tnm.me/join and become a member today. There's lots of exclusive perks over there for membership, and we welcome you. That's what helps us get it done, because we actually are funded by our supporters and not by rubles, unlike, what the opposition loves to say. But, we need your support. So please do all you can, whether it's becoming a member, making a contribution, becoming a volunteer. We need all the help we can get. So until next time, friends, I will leave you with the words of Sam Houston. He said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now, and the question is, will you stand with her?